Welcome to Unbreakable Latina. Hi guys, welcome back to Unbreakable Latina. This is your host Melina. I hope you're having an amazing day, whatever day you're listening to this on. Or if you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. I missed you guys last week. I definitely did not have the energy to do a video podcast last week, and I wanted to do it in my regular schmegular clothes. I wanted to be in my PJs, no makeup on, hair not done, and I just didn't feel like hooking up the camera and editing. Like, it's a lot of work, and I love doing this video podcast, but they are so time consuming, and I just didn't have the time last weekend. So I ended up saying, you know what, something is better than nothing. So I did the audio podcast, and there was still, everyone is a loyal listener and everybody listened. And I appreciate you guys so much for understanding that sometimes I'm just not up for it. And I am a one-woman show, so definitely puts a lot of pressure on me to do everything. And I don't want to let you guys down, but I know you guys understand when your girl needs a break, and she will take it. So thank you so much for being patient with me. I was having a very stressful week. I've had a very stressful last couple weeks, and I tried to not get overwhelmed like I talked about on my podcast and gave all these tips, but I was getting overwhelmed. So Sunday, after I finished recording, I knew that I was gonna have to take my car to the shop, and I was wondering, like, how am I gonna get there? You know what, I'm gonna drop off my car at the shop in the morning. I'll take an Uber. And I get in the Uber, y es un señor ya mayor, and he's like, are you in a rush? And I'm like, no, just get me there safe, because I was like way early. And my boy was like switching between his sunglasses to his reading glasses to look at the maps. I'm like, just go straight. I'll tell you where to go. Like, please just look at the road. At some point, I jokingly posted a story saying, like, when I find a sugar daddy, habrá señales, or something like that. And everybody was like dying in the replies to my story. But I was joking, and right after I posted that, he ran a red light, and I was like, no conviene el sugar daddy. Like, it's not convenient to get a sugar daddy because they don't know how to drive. But he was like, oh, sorry. And I was just like mortified. I was like, oh my God, like, please just make it to, I only had like a couple miles left to get to work. So I was like, just make it there safely. Pobre señor, like, he probably has to work or he's bored, but if you can't see, you shouldn't be driving. Like, not to shame anybody, but I did not feel safe. And I was just like, wow, like, my life flashed before my eyes. So as the day continued, I hadn't heard anything back from the mechanic. And then finally heard back, and he's like, hey, we're gonna have to let your car sit overnight. So I was like, shoot, what am I gonna do the rest of the week? Like, I don't want to bother my mom. She works on a different side of the city. Thankfully, I remembered that I used the Turo app. This is not an ad, okay? But I have a referral code, actually. You know how like Uber has a code that you could give your friends? Turo has a code. So Turo is an app where people rent their own cars and like deliver them to you, or you meet them at a meeting point. I found a man that was renting like a little Nissan Sentra here around the area. I didn't want anything fancy, like just something to get me from point A to point B, because not having a car is very stressful, and I feel for people that do not have vehicles, because I did not realize how much I depended on my car. I mean, I do, but I don't, you know? Like, you don't realize what you have until you don't have it. So, lesson learned, appreciate your cars, take care of them, stay on top of the oil changes. I tried, but I wasn't so good, so that's my fault. Anyways, I rented this car, got me through. I rented it like I think 2 days. And I said, you know what, by that day, I should have an answer. And sure enough, it worked out. Everything like worked out, where the mechanic called me. That day I had to turn in the car. Like, my mom picked up my car for me. And first they said like, oh, we couldn't find what was wrong with it, but it does need a tune-up. And I knew it needed a tune-up. So I'm like, okay, got my car back, turned in the other one. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so grateful for my car. So this was Wednesday. Thursday, I get my car, I drive it to work, and everyone's like, oh, you don't have car problems anymore. Like, no, my car is like new. You know, I was all happy. I was happy to have my car back. And then like I came home, and I ended up going to hang out with some friends, and I hopped on the freeway, and I started doing the same thing. So it was just at this point, like, I was giving up. And I started thinking, like, what am I gonna do? I hung out with my friends, came home, And then I went to sleep and I just couldn't sleep. I woke up with a big migraine. I ended up taking the day off from work because I didn't know what to do. And my mom's like, well, just take me to work and you can take my car and then come back, drop off your car. And I was like, oh, this sounds so stressful. Like, literally, we've been going through this for a whole 2 weeks. So then I was like, you know what? Yeah. So I took her to work, came home, took my car to the shop. And as soon as I talked to the other mechanic, he was just like, is your car burning oil? I'm like, yeah, I've been being a mechanic for the past months. And he's like, how many miles does it have? And I was like, this much. And he's like, oh, it's probably going to be your engine. And as soon as he told me that, I was like, my car's done. Like, I already knew that, but no lo quería aceptar. Like, I love my car and I didn't want a car payment. So, yeah, I was like super bummed. And then I got my little lift back, which my Lyft driver was weird as hell. And like, the mechanic is like 2 minutes away. So, but the streets, there's no sidewalks. So it's not like I could walk. I'm not going to get run over because I live in the rancho. So I got the lift. I came home and I was like, all right, what are you going to do? Like, I had already been like looking at cars here and there and like kind of talking to this guy at the dealership. And he was like, hey, when are you coming? When are you coming? And I just like ghosted him because I didn't want to, like, the prices of the cars are crazy right now. And that's what had been stopping me because I was looking for a car 2 years ago because, you know, I knew this problem was going to happen sooner or later just because my car has been through a lot and I drove a lot. I used to live far. So I knew that it was going to happen and I didn't want to buy a used car because I don't want to have to be dealing with like fixing stuff. I just want something new. But I was hesitant because I don't want to spend all that money because the market's crazy and the car market is ridiculous. Like, I never remember passing by a dealership and seeing like no cars there. And now every time you go, you have to order a car, you have to do all this. So I ended up coming home and like I was already like, what am I gonna do? And I had been like looking at interest rates and like seeing what's the best deal, talking to friends, talking to my brother, talking to my uncle, and just like, you know, do this, do that. I personally have never bought a car by myself, meaning like I did buy a car last time and my uncle did help me. So he kind of walked me through the process. But I never myself went to the dealership by myself because you hear all these horror stories about like, oh, like they try to take advantage of you and do this. So I was terrified. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna go to the credit union because all my coworkers like, go to this credit union and like, you know, see what the interest rates are. Like they have an auto expert. So I went to this credit union right away. They were like, do you want to talk to our auto expert? So I told her like, look, like I'm having car trouble. I've never bought a car, like walked into a dealership by myself. Like if you guys could save me from doing that. And I already kind of know what I want. So she's like, what do you want? What color? And I was like, I want this car, this, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let me look for it for you. But first you're going to have to apply for the loan. And your girl has good credit. So right away they entered it and the lady was like, oh my gosh, you got approved right away. That really rarely happens. And I was like, yeah, I know. Soy coda. Just kidding. But soy coda y pago mis pagos. But I was just like, okay, cool. So she told me how much I got approved. As soon as I got out of the bank, I get a phone call from like the lender. And like, she's telling me like what I need to do. She's like, once you find a car, you could either do it through us or whatever. So I like drive off in my mom's car and I'm getting all these text messages from the auto expert that found the car, right? And she goes, we found the car you want, $36,000. And I was like, what the like the price on the website was like $30,000, which is high for a Honda, but 36, I'm like, she's like, well, we can negotiate. I'm like, what's the point of you doing it for me if it's gonna be that much money? Mejor yo voy sola, yo soy chingona. So I told her, you know what, that's way too high. Like, can we look at the lower models? Because I told myself, if I'm going to spend money, like, I'm going to get the top of the line because I'm bougie now. No, I'm just kidding. But I was just like, it's not that much of a difference. But it was a huge difference. And then I told her, can you look for the other models? And she like kept texting me. But at this point, I was like, she's not really giving me a good price. So let me go look on my own, you know? And I had been in contact with this guy that my brother recommended me to look at Costco Auto. I'm a Costco member, so you could go online and they have like Costco pricing for vehicles. I don't know if you guys gone to Costco and you see the cars outside. And I didn't know that they did that, but my brother's like, yeah, that's how I got mine, and they have to honor the price that Costco gives them. So I was like, okay, let me do that. So I had been in contact since Sunday, the guy I ghosted, and I text him and say, hey, are you there today? And I text the work phone number. He had gave me his personal, but he didn't answer me. So as when I got there, he's like, yeah, what time do you want to come? And I said, I'm here. So I guess this man had days off, and he was just coming in, and I'm like, oh, hey, I talked to you on Sunday. He's like, oh, I thought you were gonna come in because you never answered me. I was like, I'm sorry, I just been like busy. And he goes, let me go I have the car that you want, like, let's go see it. But when I looked at it and I was looking at the price difference, I was like, I could do the lower model. Like, the only difference, like, the stereo system and, like, the leather interior. And I was like, I don't need a leather interior. Like, at that point, I'm like, I just need a car because my car is at the shop. And I don't know, from what the mechanic said, I still don't know what's wrong with my car, okay? From what the mechanic said, it seemed like it was gonna be a lot of money to fix, and then still, like, maintenance and everything. So I didn't want to deal with that, and I'm already have been looking for a car, so might as well go look seriously. So I already had my loan approved. I knew what I wanted, kinda, and he's like, come on, let's go see what I have. I might have the lower model, but he only had it in black, and I wanted the pearl white. So he's like, do you still want to test drive the sporting? It's almost the same thing. And I'm like, the touring. It's almost the same thing. I'm like, yeah, sure. He's like, okay, let's drive. Because we hopped on and drove around the lot because they literally have no cars. So as we were driving back, he goes, oh my gosh, I think that's the car you want. And I was like, is this part of a sales tactic? But no, like, he was so genuine, and like, I'm grateful that freaking Costco recommended me to him. He's the one that reached out to me. And he was just like, do you want to test drive that one? So we get in the car, and then it has no gas because they literally just got it in. So he's like, oh my gosh, this probably came in while I was off, because he had been off for a couple of days before that. He's like, let me go get the gas card and I'll get the keys, and you could take it on a test drive. So right away, we'll go to the gas station. And I jokingly sent pictures to my friends, and I was like, ya lo agarré. Like, I got my car, because everybody's like, why didn't you come to work? And I was like, I had a migraine, I'm stressed out, and I need a new car. So anyways, I jokingly said, like, I got my car like that fast. And I'm like, I'm just kidding. No, I didn't. I'm test driving. So we test drove it, and right away I'm like, it's a new car. ¿A quién no le va a gustar un carro nuevo? My car's 10 years old. So I was like, wow, it's really nice. And then I said, okay, well, are you going to give me the price, the Costco pricing? Because the Costco pricing is way different than the price on the car. And then he's like, yeah, we'll do it. But, you can't trust these people. So I was just like, all right, we'll see. So I said, he gives me the numbers and me dice ahí lo que va a hacer. And I'm like, is this the price out the door? Because if it is, sign me up right now. And he's like, well, taxes and this. And I was like, I need you to give me like the price out the door, nothing included. And según yo, muy business. Like, can you take this off, this off, this off? And he's like, oh, unfortunately, with like Costco, we can't do that. Which my brother had the same experience. And right now, with the way the market is with cars, like, there's no cars. So it was like, I knew that this, either you get it or the next person that's coming in, because there was a guy there that wanted the car, and there was no one told me that, but I told him, like, well, how long is this car gonna be here? He's like, it's here right now. Like, basically, like, if you don't want it, someone might get it. I've heard this from so many people where they have been struggling to find cars. Not only that, like, they have to pay a deposit, and then they pay the deposit, and they have to wait for the car to get delivered, and it's just a whole mess. And I don't know, it just felt right in my heart. Like, I was like, I think this is gonna happen today. And my brother was like, don't get pressure. Like, he was so helpful. I kept calling him all day, like, hey, this, that's too much, that makes sense, that doesn't make sense. And I had got like an interest rate at the credit union, and I told the guy, okay, well, I already got approved for a loan. He finally gave me like the price out the door, and I was like, okay, well, it seems fair compared to all the other prices they had been telling me from the credit union auto expert. I told him, like, I got pre-approved for a loan. This is my interest rate. Can you beat that? And he goes, oh yeah, we could beat it right away. And I said, okay. And then he's like, so do you want to do it? And I said, can you give me like 5 minutes just to talk to my brother? He's like, yeah, take your time. So he goes away, and I call my brother, and I said, look, like, this, that. He's like, well, I don't know your budget. Like, I don't know your finances. And I said, well, I could afford it. I'm like, I don't want to, but like, I need it. And I'm tired of having issues. I'm tired of being stressed out. And I'm tired of having to like have this stress for no reason. Like, I have the money. And he's like, it sounds like that's the best deal you're gonna get. And I know a lot of people, like, someone commented on my one of my videos and said, it's a bad decision, it's a bad investment. Like, to you, to me, it was good because now I don't have to worry about how am I gonna get to work to pay my damn bills to pay the car. But like, I get it. It's a lot of money right now, but sometimes you just have to bite the bullet and do it. And I ended up deciding that, yeah, I was gonna do it, and I was in between like how much money I was gonna put down, because a lot of people are like, don't put a lot of money down, but I also knew that I had my insurance payment still. So I ended up getting the car, and I did it all by myself. Like, I walked in there by myself, and I feel so proud of myself. So I told him, like, okay, like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. I didn't sign. I'm gonna do it. Please get the paperwork ready for me. But I do have to go pick up my mom from work right now, so I'm gonna go pick her up and then bring her back. And then I go to pick up my mom, and she's like, I said, oh, ya agarré un carro. Ya lo voy a agarrar. I'm like, I haven't signed yet, but it's looking like it's mine. And the guy was like, I'm gonna go wash the car right now, and then we're gonna get your paperwork ready. And sure enough, picked up my mom, came back, paperwork was ready. And my mom was like, are you sure about this? Like, did you already did it? Like, I can't believe you did it by yourself. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I'm like, my brother's been helping me. I've been calling him. Like, I already talked to a couple people. I've done my research all week, and I feel confident about it. And she's like, well, why don't, like, I think she was a little scared for me. And I was like, Mom, I got this. And then that's when I told her that, and she was like, okay, pues, okay. So, like the big, like, they try to like add all these packages for oil, for this, for that. And I kept saying, no, no. And the guy's like, you don't want this? This was not the sales rep. This was like the finance guy. And I'm like, look, I want the price on the paper. And if I'm not going to get that price, I don't want the car. And he said, no, I'm just offering. Like, no, like, don't get mad. Pero yo bien bravita. I was like, no, I already agreed. This is the payment that I want. And I don't want anything higher. And that's that. So after signing a million my life away, giving blood, giving my firstborn, I got the car. The guy taught me how to set it up, and like I got my 2023 Honda Civic in pearl white. My mom estaba llorando, and I was like, "Why are you crying?" But then the guy took a picture of us, and once, not me getting emotional. So as I drove off the dealership, I was like, wow, I kind of did this all by myself. I mean, thankful to have my brother to answer like my 30 phone calls that I called him. But like, I walked in, I negotiated, I stood my ground, and I did this. And I never thought that I was going to be able to do that because honestly, like, you guys, I always give you advice to be confident and believe in yourself, but sometimes it's hard for me to believe in myself. And it's funny because a lot of you guys were like, you deserve it. I'm like, I know, but it's so hard. And he's like, someone told me, like, you always tell us to believe in yourself and to be confident and this and that. I'm like, yeah, but I struggle with that too. And I've come a long way, a very long way. But I think that my hesitation for spending money on myself is always like, I don't have generational wealth. I am my generational wealth. And I want to be smart with my money. And like growing up, my parents drove their cars till like they didn't work anymore, and they never ever bought a new car. And it's scary because you hear all these stories and people telling you like, oh, like it's a bad investment and this and that. But like, cars, we depend on them so much. Like, my city does not have good public transportation. It's not safe, and I need a car. And getting this car it feels surreal. Like, I drove it for the dealership. I drove it yesterday to go get the windows tinted. Y se me hace como que no me cae el 20. Like, I can't believe this is my car. It still doesn't feel real, like someone pinched me. I mean, I did get a new car 10 years ago, but it was a lease, and at the time, I was scared. But now I'm like, I know what I was doing. I did it by myself. I think a lot of us struggle being first generation. We're seeing our parents, like, sometimes you feel guilty. Like, right now, I'm like, I have this new car, but my mom has this older car. Like, I wish I could buy her a new car right now. Well, like, when I can, I will. But I said, like, I deserve this. Like, my parents have made sacrifices to be here in the States and give us these opportunities to get a degree, to get a career, to do all these things. Like, I've worked very hard and all alone, you know? Not alone because like I have my family to like be there rooting for me, but like no one handed me money and said, "Here, go to school." During college, I was driving my parents' car and oh my god, why am I getting so emotional? I hadn't cried in a long time. I guess it was time. But like during college, I drove my parents' car while my dad worked nights and I went to school during the day. I didn't have a car. And it just feels like a big accomplishment. I know to some people that it might just be a car, but to me, it's a lot. Because if you know my story, you know that my since I was 17, my life's been pretty chaotic. And I've had peace now for like 3 years, 4 years, and it just took a long time to get here. And it's okay to enjoy the fruits of your labor. And it's okay to treat yourself. And that's one thing that I've been working on the last few years where I'm like, okay, it's fine. It's okay. Like, you're smart with your money. You're financially responsible. You save money. You don't spend money on stupid stuff. Like, you work hard. You stress yourself out, like, every week. For what? To have that money, like, sitting there, waiting for the right time. Like, life is short, and the right time might never come, so enjoy the fruits of your labor. Take yourself on that vacation. Buy yourself that new car. Be responsible with your money. As long as you have an emergency fund, your bills are paid, and you're not spending your money on stupid shit, then you're good. One lesson that I learned this weekend is that I can do anything I put my mind to. And it's crazy to me because, like, my sister is very into manifesting and doing all this stuff, and I try, but like it's hard for me to believe that stuff. But at the beginning of the year, the end of last year, I can't remember. I think it was the beginning of the year. Angela and I got together and we did a vision board. And I have it. And I haven't looked at it. But the other day I looked at it and I've completed a lot of the things that I put on there. And one thing that I put on there was a car. Another thing I put in there was YouTube. My camera, getting collabs, and it's happening, you guys. It's all happening, and I just want to say that if you struggle with guilt, of feeling guilty for buying yourself stuff, or for like not being able to buy everything for your parents or for your brothers, for your sisters, it's okay to put yourself first, because as much as I tell you guys, put yourself first, I still struggle with that. And for once, I put myself first and it feels so good. It feels so good. And you guys are probably like, what the hell are you crying for? But it's been a lot. A long time since I treated myself to something. I don't always treat myself to something, but when I do, it's very expensive. That's what I kept telling my mom, and my mom was like, I'm so proud of you. And like everybody was just congratulating me, and it means a lot to me. And it's hard when you don't have anyone to fall back on and you are your generational wealth. And a lot of people don't get that, but a lot of us do get that. And like I said, to some people this might not be a big accomplishment. It's like, oh, I'm on my third car, like why are you crying about that? But for me, that I've always been afraid to spend money because who's gonna back me up? Who's gonna pay my bills? Like if I'm not responsible with my money, like I'm gonna be homeless. Like literally that's my mentality, but that's not true. Like I worked hard to get what I get paid now. I work hard on this podcast. Like I spent all my weekends doing this. Like this weekend I didn't do anything besides get a car and like work on collabs that I have and answer emails. And I'm not only recording this podcast right now, I'm also going to record one after this with Angela, and I'm going to have to retouch my makeup because your girl cried this whole podcast. But I just want to say that it's okay to treat yourself. You're not responsible, even though my heart, like forever. Like my family, I'll always be there for them. If they need me financially, I'll figure it out some way, because that's just the way I was raised. I was raised to help each other. And although like I'm always there and I have no one to like fall back on financially, but I can do it myself. And I worked very hard, and it's okay to enjoy the fruits of my labor. It's okay to treat myself. So if you've been stopping yourself from buying yourself something nice, or just worried about like how is my family going to pay their bills, like, you know what, sometimes it's okay to let go a little bit of that responsibility and put yourself first and treat yourself, because you've been working hard. And what's the point of working so hard and not enjoying your money? And people like will always have something to say, like, oh my god, you bought a new car in this market, blah blah blah. Like, who cares? Are you paying my bills? Don't listen to anybody, and you treat yourself, whatever that means for you. And I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. I know I talked about myself, but it was just like something that I felt like I needed to share in my heart, that I struggle with, and like that I finally did it, and I did it by myself, and I'm so proud of myself. So let's go celebrate. I hope you guys have an amazing week, and it's a new month, so there's new goals. I plan to get back on my gym routine. I need to get back on my content making routine, because I haven't really been doing that, like here and there, but not as much as I want to. And I want to show you guys a little bit more, like a video of a day in my life, or my chaotic ass life, because my life is not like those people on Instagram where everything looks perfect. So I want to try to like show you how my real life is. And it's kind of weird. One of my coworkers was like, I can't believe people watch those videos. I'm like, people like those videos. And I told them, I'm like, are you gonna watch my videos when I do a day in my life? He's like, no. But you know, it's cool to see how different people live, but like sometimes it gets to you where like you're like, my life does not look that perfect like theirs life does. And I want to show you guys that my life is not perfect. I'm always running late to work. I'm like figuring out what to eat in the morning, and like it's chaotic. Like I try, pero se me olvida. But I want to be better at doing that. That's like another thing on my vision board, about creating more like content that feels relatable, which I think I do a good job at, but I think I need to do even more. And if you guys want a tour of my car once I get it washed, because it freaking rained like twice, so my car is dirty right now. But once I wash it, if you guys want a tour, then I could do a little review of my carrito. So I'm very excited. I hope you guys have an amazing week. Enjoy your 3-day weekend. And I'm going to get this episode ready for you guys so you guys can watch it on your day off and have an amazing week. Congratulations to the winner of the sweatshirt. I did do a giveaway. And I only have a few sweaters left. I know I keep saying that, but I really do. Like every time I say that, someone like buys one. So it's like getting very limited, and get them now because fall's coming and you're gonna be looking cute in your unbreakable sweater. I have to do the shirts there. The order is like almost complete. I just can't decide on the material of the shirt. So that's why it's been taking me forever. And anyways, thank you guys for listening and watching me cry. I know you guys miss me crying. So have an amazing week. I'll talk to you soon. Oh, wait. Hold on. I'm getting ahead of myself. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Follow me at Unbreakable Latina on Instagram and TikTok, and Twitter at Latina Podcast. And show some love to my collabs, please, guys. I appreciate you guys. The other day I posted a collab and I got like only a few likes. So please engage with my collabs. That way I could be full-time podcasting sooner or later. And thank you for your support. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.